Crypto and Bitcoin just lost $90,000, and we have a plethora of stories for you today. We must talk about the Zcash rug pull. Is that what's happening over here? And altcoins in free fall right now. Major news for XRP. Maybe not the best news, and we're going to go to the XRP charts as well in a very special episode. So everybody smash the like buttons because me and Drew are going to break down ICE. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to break down the altcoins. We're going to break down the markets. Maybe, we'll briefly mention the stories of the day. But Drew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. There's a lot to discuss in crypto. Obviously, we're going to be, I know that there's a lot going on internally with the U.S., but we're going to dive in and really dissect the situation on the basement as well. So, we'll go into that right after this show. But there's enough going on in crypto right now. I wanted to get some trades in this morning. Bitcoin's trying to fight back and getting above 90K right now. It's like $90,500. A lot of pain in the alts today, though. It's been a pretty brutal market open.
I will start with the speaking of the market open. I made a major move. We were discussing it on the stream yesterday, and that move was I sold my silver options, and I didn't quite look. It might go higher. I didn't quite catch it on this day. We did sell on this day early in the morning. So, maybe somewhere around here. And then it is now down pretty incredibly today. So I got out close to 1,000 per option. Right now, trading around 800 per option. So we do feel good about that. Get back to crypto. Bitcoin's down. ETH is down. XRP also down 3.8%. We are going to look at some Bitcoin levels. Solana looking pretty strong here. Solana 0.3%. And I will tell you, I sold some Zcash today, folks. I didn't sell everything. Actually, I didn't sell anything for fiat. I converted some of my Zcash that was in profit. I converted into Bitcoin and Solana. And right here, this is maybe one of the reasons why it might be a big gainer moving forward here. Bitcoin Cash, though, up 1.2%. Drew, never a good sign seeing Bitcoin Cash. Does that make you feel a little leery for heading into the weekend?
Yeah, I think the weekend is going to be... I feel like the weekend price action goes up more often than down lately. It's the pain comes to crypto during Wall Street hours. I feel like,
yeah.
Last one was kind of an outlier, but that's how I felt for the last few weeks just watching the charts.
Well, if you look, it looks like Wall Street got the memo and said, we're going to try to pump these tokens. Looking at the 10 a.m., maybe we are going to get that 10 a.m. manipulation that we basically have gotten every single day this week. But it's going to be 10 a.m. to the upside, which is a lot better than this 10 a.m. to the downside. You can see 10 a.m. right here at this candle plummeting down, but we also had a 10 a.m. pump. This is the 10 a.m. pump that we saw on Monday. So we normally do see big moves, like Drew was saying, around 10 a.m. I do want to look at the big gainers, NYX, World Liberty Fi. We're going to talk about the Trump news here, banking, charter, major news. Told you yesterday, Polygon, keep an eye on Polygon. Now people are actually paying attention to Polygon. Polygon, one of the biggest gainers for the day. Tau also with the big move, and Canton with the big move here. But Drew, when we look at the red, it's a sea of red. Zcash over 10%, Pepe almost 10%, Pump.Fun almost 10%, and Render giving back a lot of their gains. They were up 67% still.
Yeah. Seeing the Pepe pullback, Pepe ran really, really hard to the upside. So it's still like up pretty well over, say the month time frame. Interesting choice that you made on the Solana move. I was just talking about Solana yesterday on the afternoon show.
I'll just front run. I bought Jupiter with Solana yesterday or earlier in the week, and I wanted to replace the Solana that I had spent.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so you're kind of just backfilling. That makes sense. Like Solana is like with the news yesterday on Wyoming rolling out the stablecoin integration with Solana and a lot of things happening. It's like Solana, in my mind, is feeling more and more like it's here to stay. But it did do like a 35x from say, $8 to $300, right? So I'm being wary about that, but I do have a Solana bag and I'm starting to get a little bit enticed because it's almost defending that, say $100, $120 zone the same way XRP is defending the $70, $80 mark, right? Where it's like at a do or die moment. It's kind of enticing to me to pick up maybe
people defending themselves in do or die moments. Yes, we're going to talk about Minnesota. All right, I kid. Speaking of do or die moment, this is Ethereum, and Ethereum now encroaching upon $3,000. Very, very strong psychological level. You see, it took a few times for us to burst through that. But once we did, we really haven't looked back until since 2 a.m. Wednesday morning. So you can say, a little bit, about 30, 32 hours here, just down into a downtrend there. Let's get into some of the news. Look, it's been a big, big day. We got a new food pyramid, Drew. A lot of stuff coming out the White House today. Have you seen the new food pyramid? It's
I love it.
Well, Trump, he did model it after his diet a little bit. And yeah, I mean, I think this is the new one, right? Is this straight from the whitehouse.gov? Or am I mixing my signals here?
I think your signals are a little bit mixed here. Yeah, I might be able to get RFK on with the show. So I'm working an angle to try to get RFK in to talk about this major change in the food pyramid. My wife is ecstatic about this. Healthy fats, things of that nature. We've always been about that.
So major 24 hours. We got a food pyramid. We got the capture of some tankers. We got banning institutions from buying houses. That is right. Large investment firms can no longer go out and clear your neighborhood of all the homes for sale. We did raise the military budget. We're going to look at just a quick look at Raytheon stock. It went ballistic. Withdrawal of the U.S. from 66 international organizations. Probably save a lot of money doing this. Restrictions on contractors unless they build new plants. Along with the situation that happened in Minnesota. I want to kind of avoid some of the keywords here. There's a lot going on at the moment, folks. But let's get back into crypto here. Bitcoin averaging 100% return after down years. Will this pattern repeat in 2026? So it historically comes close to a 100% gain in the year following a down year. And you can look at the data. I pulled it up right here. Down year, we pumped 35% the next year. Down year, we pumped 95% the next year. Down year, 156% pump. And then if you look at 2025, we have a down year suggesting 2026, if the averages hold out, 100% gain, 35, 95, 156. This averages out to 95%, rounding to 100% historical benchmark for Bitcoin. So we might see a green year. Now, Drew, what do you think? Chat, I want you to type in G for green, R for red. Green, are we going to get a green year? Is it possible for this to just play out like, well, Bitcoin's such a strong apex asset, it can't have 2 down years in a row?
Well, I think that, I was talking to Crank and Kelly yesterday, and I can understand why people are dancing on their momentary hill of the 4-year cycle playing out. I completely understand why. When I look at the Bitcoin chart, I've navigated this chart very effectively through multiple cycles. And looking at it right now on the log setup, this is a pathetic display of a blow off top. There was no euphoria here. And so what I see is strong price defense at 65 to 70K, the just below production cost of Bitcoin. It is a potential we snap down to that zone with all the craziness going on macroeconomically. But that price to produce Bitcoin was what created the floor of Bitcoin in the past bear market. Right here, it was about $19,000 at the time of FTX. We dipped just below it to about 16,000, created an amazing buying opportunity, which is why I have this kind of laid out, this gift from God buying opportunity below that production cost. But honestly, man, there has been no euphoric glow up on this chart. And if I'm looking at this from a trading perspective, on a regular setup, like the green dot, the double green dot that we have on Market Cypher is still very, very clean. And the only thing that's scary about this is the money flow coming back to equilibrium. But this is a very, very institutionally controlled process. These money flow waves.
Hold on. Let me pause you right there. Every single green dot has the green money flow dipping into the red. Look.
Yes, absolutely.
So not even bearish. It's just following the predicted pattern.
And the thing that's like, these look way more structured than the previous Bitcoin markets. And it plays into, in my mind, like think about what happened right here. The ETFs, BlackRock, major institutions, Wall Street, all of those entities made their tangible entry into Bitcoin in this zone. And it just basically looks like a rinse and repeat process. So I'm betting on green in 2026. I'm standing on my business. And, some people have doubted me, and I can understand why, but if I'm wrong and I get the chance to buy $50,000, $40,000 Bitcoin, I see that as a blessing. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that I'm wrong and
It
that we
won't
get
happen.
cheaper
It won't
prices.
happen. You're not going to
Yeah.
see it. You're not in the 40s. Not
That's
going to
what, and
happen.
that's what I
Period.
feel. Yeah, it's like I
Well,
can't
stop.
get nice things,
All
right?
right. Well, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. And if you're wondering where he was getting those green dots, everybody, that is going to be from Market Cipher. Big shout out to Crypto Face, probably one of the best live traders out there. Big also, we love Tom Crown, we love Jason Casper, Frankie Candles, of course. There's a lot of good ones. All right, Bitcoin reclaiming. Let's get into the charts. Reclaiming the 50-day moving average after a sharp correction. Time to pay attention. Let's look at the chart right here. Pulling up 50-day moving average is going to be this orange line, and you can see. Got a lot of activity. We were bucking against this earlier in the morning, and now you can see, yeah, now it does look like we are losing. This is a little bit scary because when there is a breakout above, you don't want to break below this 50-day moving average. Why? Typically, you don't get fake outs with these reversals. Typically, when you break into a bullish structure with Bitcoin, specifically with the 50-day moving average, you go forward and you don't look back. This was just a clean pump, a little bit of a pullback, but obviously that's going to be expected after you pump 50%, a little pullback there, but essentially no fake out, off to the races. That's why this is a little bit scary. Let's go back. Let's just look a couple more here. We did get 2 brief dips. Then it was just off to the races. No brief pullback right here. No fake out, just straight cleanly off to the races right here. Now we're in 22. No fake out, just cleanly off to the races. And so it makes me a little bit worried. Maybe we're in a downtrend. Maybe this is going to look like this. Maybe it's going to look like this. Maybe it's going to look like this. But do you want a savior, Drew? I got a savior.
I got my savior always with Jesus, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Oh, well, Jesus. Calm down, Drew. We're not in Minnesota. You're not stopping a lady in a Honda. All right, let's look here. The savior could be the mid-year pullback. This is June, July 2021. And we have repeatedly said, look, there's a lot of structures that are very similar to what we're seeing right here. So the savior, it could be this. We did have a sustained period below the 50-day moving average. However, we would still go on to pump and create a new all-time high months after everybody said, 61 was the top. We're not going higher than this, not going higher than this. What do? We end up going higher than this. So maybe we're going to see, no fake. Maybe it's bearish, right? There's all these times we get no fake outs, except for little brief dips, no fake outs. Maybe we're replicating this. So this is going to be what I'm holding on to. So if we are going to see a bull market, I expect it to look a lot more like this.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the time frame of where we should be rolling over right now on the double top is right about now. And to a degree that's played out. Yesterday's news with Nvidia was the thing that I thought would drive us deeper into that 80K range. I was kind of surprised by the strength of Bitcoin with the whole China Nvidia FUD, because it seems like the market kind of got used to the situation and we didn't get down as low as I thought we would when that news finally hit, which is really interesting note for me yesterday.
There might be, I don't want to get too deep into the geopolitics. There might be many reasons why I don't even care about the H200s. And it does look like they might be, because they're always 3-4 years behind with the chips that Nvidia would sell to China. So if you just wait a year, wouldn't you just get the next phase?
That's true.
So why even need, so you're like, we're no longer selling these things that we're going to stop selling in 2 months anyways.
Yeah. And you had a good point yesterday about the likelihood of the technology, the process already being spied upon by China and
so there's a Dutch company that builds the machinery for Nvidia. And why copy Nvidia when you copy the people selling the machinery to Nvidia? Very, very just a nuanced take that not a lot of people are talking about, but you do hear it here in Disco Universe, folks. So smash that like button. Now we got a couple other charts I did want to share. One, Ash Crypto found. Oh, all right. Looks like we filled one CME gap, but there's another one. I think I did a post here. Yeah, you can see we got the gap filled. Filled the gap right there. All right, that's good. That's good. You can see, normally these are 4-hour candles just so we can see a little bit cleaner without the wicks. You see, all right, we did fill this. Normally we were going to fill these, and we got another one still lower, folks. So there is still a gap at 88,200. Drew, I'm going to throw out some odds. I'd like to hear some odds from you. I'm putting this at 85%. We're going to see this. You know what? I'll change it. 88%. We go back to 88.
Things are feeling rollovery right now. So I gotta be on your side on this. Like I want to be a bull, and I am a bull for 26, but we don't have the juice on the charts to get us into that escape velocity moment right now. We're stuck ranging, which is a perfect place to trade. And our trading community is having a lot of fun. I'm excited to get back on a trading. I was less degenerate over the holiday season, but now the dust is settled. Christmas is done. New Year's is done. I'm ready to get back into the charts. And I love trading ranges more than anything.
All right. Well, I got a 4-hour moving average range for you. And so this is the 4-hour 200 moving average cloud. If you don't know what a moving average cloud, it typically, sometimes there's little distinctions, but typically you see the SMA and the EMA, and that's your cloud. SMA and EMA are going to be a little bit different. I explain it like at least once a week. I'm not going to do it today. And if we look 4-hour, we have a cloud. So the cloud is between the blue and orange line. Sometimes it's pretty drastic. Sometimes it's pretty tight. And you can see here, we are, oh, I like this, Drew. I like this. Folks, the wick didn't look like this when I was charting all this like 2 hours ago. I'm leaning bullish. If we could just bounce from the bottom of the cloud, obviously it's going to be a lot better versus if we lose the bottom of the cloud. You see, last time something like that happened, it wasn't pretty, folks. It was, in fact, very, very ugly. So last time we saw this moving average break structure, or I guess we fell below it, we would end up falling about 28%. We're down about 22% from that area. So Bitcoin, several lines in the sand. And don't worry, we're going to show you the XRP lines in the sand as well. But you need to be bullish on Bitcoin. I love this take from Wealth Squad Chris. I guess he's just part of the squad. Squad, can I get squad in the chat? Do we got the squad in the chat? Drew, are you part of the squad?
I'm always part of the squad, man.
Squad.
You know this. Come on now.
All right, in the near future, one Bitcoin will cost 1 decade worth of labor. Right now, it's worth 1 year worth of labor. A few years ago, it was 1 month worth of labor. Before that, a week. Before that, a day. Before that, an hour. Get it? Time is money. No South Park Mexican song here. Time is money. I love this. Do you think eventually Bitcoin is worth 1 decade of labor?
I absolutely do. And that's like, you know, when I saw, like, when flu season hit, it gave me a good year, maybe like a half a year of complete solitude to think about my life, to think about the idea of now being called non-essential, right? And my time being wasted chasing around fiat. And what crypto and Bitcoin particularly have given me is control of my time. As incidentally, I'm lucky enough to work with you and TJ, and you know, it's our job to analyze the markets, which is incredible. I'd be doing it anyways. But it's given me the chance to take control of that time and almost put my time in a capsule and capture that. And now I look at my children. Gathering the Bitcoin that I am right now is absolutely retaining and protecting my children's time in the future. It's a very uncertain future. So the best I can do is give them big bags of Bitcoin to deal with whatever the future may bring. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, money represents time. So when they stealth print money, aka, you know, cause inflation by printing more and more dollars without really taking in the equal amount or, you know, creating value, when they do that, they steal your time. And if you think, all right, so I work my whole life, you know, your parents working, they save up, they got a 401k, they have a retirement account, and then slowly the value of that retirement account, maybe it goes up 5% a year. But meanwhile, it's eroding in value 7% a year, 10% a year. So they're stealing your time. And if you think about it, they're not stealing your time. They're stealing your blood, sweat, and tears. So this stealth inflation is literally sapping your life force, sapping your blood, draining you like an energy vampire. Because also, money's energy also. Now let's talk about XRP, Drew's favorite altcoin that starts with the letter X. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you know, my wife bought a big bag of this thing. Like when it dipped, I think she got it like $1.80. It's whatever. I have some XRP from 17 cents. She just bought more. I don't like it. It's centralized, but I own it. So I'm in this weird middle zone now where I can, I'm funding my own bags at this point. So
people saying if XRP don't hit, I'm coming after Jake Claver with the no, obviously we don't recommend anything like that. Jake, I love how Jake, before Bitcoin broke its previous all-time high, like 24, maybe January, maybe late. He's like, you know, it will never go above 80K. And then it smashed all the way to 126. But yeah, Jake Claver loves XRP.
yes.
Now let's talk about XRP. We got some bad news. We got some good news. Then we got the charts. Bad news first. Naush's first outflow. It's nearly 600 million is exiting Wall Street funds, these ETFs. They got their first net outflow day since launch, breaking their multi-week inflow streak after $1 billion had poured in. The outflow was 40 million. That was happened yesterday. It's the first daily reversal after the ETF had steadily accumulated assets all the way since mid-November. So Green Day, not the Dookie album, not the weird political rants on stage. No, we're talking about a nonstop consecutive buy pressure, brought the cumulative net inflows $1.2 billion. But then it turned around. We got the outflow yesterday. Here's the good news, though. So bad news, we broke the ETF win streak. I guess it had to happen eventually. But what's the good news? No more IPO is what they're suggesting here. Now, Drew, before we get into the news here, just in one or two sentences, why is the IPO, if you agree, why is the IPO bad for XRP's price?
Well, it would take attention from XRP, the token, to the option, and the much more bullish option in my mind, to Ripple.
And by attention, you mean, hey, I got $100. Do I invest in XRP, the token, or do I try to get Ripple Labs stock on Robinhood?
Yeah. Ripple is connected, man. Like Ripple is, it's basically something that I think has a much longer lifespan than the token of XRP, and much more applicability to the existing Web 2 setup, JavaScript. Ripple is actually working with the FedNow system. So Ripple has a tangible connection into the new way that money is transferred, like from bank to bank. That's absolutely there. The problem with XRP, the token, and the idea that it's going to go to $100 or $1,000 is because the transactional fees on XRP are very, very low. And there is not much DeFi infrastructure.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, folks. I believe it is every time you use XRP, it burns a little XRP. Do you know you need 100,000 transactions to burn one $2 token?
Exactly.
So how are you going to get deflationary with that rate?
Exactly. So, and yeah, Vet has been doing a great job making this clear, because it's 0.00001 XRP per transaction, right?
So 100,000 transactions to burn one token. So, but yeah, I would say just, hey, if you got dollars that, you got to split between the XRP token and the stock, you're going to not have all the money go into one of those. So, all right, so their plans though, we still plan to remain private. The reiteration of their plans to not pursue a public offering followed a $500 million fundraise, and they now have a $40 billion valuation. This is from Ripple Labs president, Monica Long. She was speaking with Bloomberg. Currently, we still plan to remain private. Often the strategy driving an IPO is to get access to the investors and the liquidity of the public markets. Let me restate that in normal English. Often the reason you create a stock is to make money from selling your stock. However, we're in a really healthy position to continue to fund and invest in our company's growth without going public. So we are in a really healthy position to continue to fund. Drew, they fund by, selling XRP. So I think it's fair to say we're still in a realm where we have the ability to sell XRP. So we don't need to create an IPO. I would say that's a fair take, right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair take. And another thing is the stable coin that XRP rolled out basically stole a lot of the use case from the actual token. But the thing, I see a lot of good within the searches of XRP token. Searches on Google for XRP versus Solana versus Ethereum versus virtually every single other altcoin. XRP, the token, completely overshadows all other altcoins when it comes to retail interest, right?
Yeah.
And there's, that's like, there's a lot of big bags of people that have retirement funds. They want to mess around with altcoins, and XRP is the one that captures their attention first and foremost, outside of Bitcoin. So it's a nuanced subject matter. It's almost like, am I willing to bet against a cult? Not so much. I can talk about the intricacies of the problem with the tokenomics and things of that nature, but there is a growing cult of XRP.
Yeah, man.
That
Look, you could be a party pooper and crap on the cult, or Drew, you could just drink the Kool-Aid.
Right.
It's a lot more fun.
Yeah, just drink the Kool-Aid.
Feel lightheaded.
Just have a good place to fall down on. All
right, we should make fun. Jonestown too soon? Was it too soon, folks? All right,
a little bit.
All All right, I get Charles Manson will be my next reference. Okay, so I should be safe with that. That was 50 years ago. But we do have some other good news from Ripple here. They do have a bank trust approval. The OCC, they granted them as the Office of Comptroller of the Currency, and they have applications from Circle, Ripple, BitGo, Fidelity Digital Assets, and Paxos. They've received conditional approval to convert their state-level trust companies into federally chartered national trust companies there. But let's get into the charts. That's what I wanted. I got two lines for you. Let me get my card. Whoa, shouldn't joke about that. 50-day moving average. We just looked at this at Bitcoin. What's its relevance with XRP? Well, we're right at it, folks. And I mean, you can't really fake that. I mean, that is a pretty clean bounce right there, in my opinion. They 100% need to hold this. If you look, this has been very, very strong resistance. I am not making any prediction that this is the clean bounce that we're going to get. In my guess, we are going to dip below this before we move to the upside. And you can see XRP, when it flips this moving average into support, last time, we're not going to do it from the bottom. We're going to do it from right here. Boy, oh boy, 529% pump. 529% pump. Let's do it again, folks. 529. We're breaking the screen. No, okay, almost. I mean, we're looking at $12 XRP. I don't think it could replicate that pump from the November 24 level. But even if it's half that, let's just go even. We'll do 270, about 270%. Even if the pump is half as strong, Jesus, we're looking at a $7.50, $8 XRP, Drew.
Yeah, that's like, I think it's around, it would have to hit like a $500 billion market cap to get there. You know, I'm more so looking at like $4 or $5 for it. But the main thing is it needs to hold the number 3 spot as the top crypto project. It's defending that $1.70 mark very, very violently.
Well, I'll say this: if it goes from 2 to 7, right? You only need to do a 3.5x. You don't really, even a little bit less. 3 times 120, 360 plus the 0.5, 380. We're rounded down a little bit. You really only need a $350 billion market cap. So you need a $350 billion market cap to hit about $7. 350, we were above 2. So now the math starts looking a little bit more doable.
The linchpin in there is that the release schedule of the tokens is increasing, right? And so you have an increasing release of the token.
No. It's still $1 billion a month. Are you saying they're reducing what they pull back in the escrow? Because I still think they still pull back about 80%.
They do pull back a lot, but the outlook of it I did this analysis on it. It might have changed.
I'm playing the XRP bull here, though.
What's that?
I'm gonna play the XRP bull. So what do you got for me?
Well, I think that if we hit around a $400 billion market cap over the course of the next year on XRP, the price the last time I did this analysis landed at like $5 to $6. $7's not too far out of pocket if they keep everything the same. But I did remember that there are some changes to how much escrow is being held back over the next year. So there is a little bit of nuance, but it's a completely doable situation. But
let me give you the bull take, though. Drew,
yeah, give it.
Escrow wallet's going to run out eventually.
That's true.
Now what?
That is true.
And then what?
That is true. That's a reasonable counterpoint, right? So, it is what it is. Like, and honestly, like, I've been in crypto long enough where like the XRP that I do hold was bought at 17 cents. So like, by all rights, I should be taking profits right now, but it's a moon bag. And, I've got a lot of
the XRP crypto. Bull. I'll put this hat on once a week. Okay. You get once a week. You don't get more than that, folks. I got a second line in the sand. Second line says teal line. This is just a strong point of control. If you go back, you're going to see, I would keep an eye out on this area right here, folks. I think it's right at $2. I'm off by, a fraction of a penny there just because I'm trying to get it exactly on there. But yeah, right at $2. You know what, folks, do you mind if I try to move this for the next 3 minutes? I'm just kidding. All right. So keep an eye out on that line right at $2, line in the sand. Speaking about lines, let's look at Trump family here. That was a joke about Don Jr. Trump family, World Liberty Financial. We know Daddy Trump. That's down and dirty business. World Liberty Financial applies for a banking charter. to expand USD1. We just kind of looked at some of the other ones who do have it. Circle, Ripple, BitGo, Fidelity, Paxos. World Liberty Fi is now trying to join the group. They said their subsidiary did file with the OCC, you know me, and the charter that would allow it to issue. This is the cool part, though. They're going to be a little bit different than those other ones, minus Ripple. Ripple would kind of fit in the same category. They're going to be able to issue, custody, and convert their in-house stablecoin in-house. So rather than rely on a third party, their stablecoin is the USD1. So it's going to enable. So if you sign up for this bank, you can fee, mint, and redeem your stablecoin. So kind of a compelling reason to, I never thought I'd say this, but become a sign up for Trump's bank.
Are you serious? That is the idea.
I
of
won't
this
buy
happening.
the stakes. I won't buy the water.
Yeah,
but this is a stablecoin off ramp.
Imagine a Trump bank at the bottom level of a Trump tower, right? And in Gaza Plaza East, 10 years from now, right?
What does a Trump bank look like? I would just go in and ask to use the restroom and be like, "Is this toilet gold or what?" You know, and if it's not gold, I don't sign up.
It's got to be gold. It's got to be gold.
And if it's not gold, I'll turn it yellow by missing the seed on purpose.
They're laying groundwork for stablecoin integration. And what, honestly, like when I look at World Liberty Financial, it almost feels like a testing ground for a government level DeFi stablecoin application, right? And so I think that there's a degree of testing the waters and the system of finance that the Trump sons are doing right now. And that information is being translated over to the Treasury, the Scott Bessent, the Treasury that's actually looking for new mechanisms and how to integrate crypto. It feels like it's a test ground for the government level DeFi.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Everybody, can we get our likes up, folks? I'm looking at likes. We need to get these numbers up. So if you really want to help us out, we brought up Minnesota. We're bringing up Trump. We're saying like every keyword that YouTube is not a big fan of. I said ice, but hey, YouTube, I'll talk about ice in my drink, man, not the other thing. So if you want to help us out, smash that like button. Let's get back into the algo. When we say some of the, look, man, the Drew DZ streams, it might get a little wild. We can't help it. Me and Drew, look
bring it out of me.
I mean, look what he's wearing, folks. Look,
I'm trying to keep you tame. It's impossible. You know what I mean? But there's a lot to discuss later on in the day about everything that's happening.
For that is just show me the Cardano chart and I'll shut up. But anyways, let's move on. You can't make this up. Lockheed Martin just fell 7%. Look at that. Jeez. Look at that. After Trump banned stock buybacks and dividends on U.S. defense companies until problems are rectified. So they get, let's just say, favorable terms, whether you need munitions, whether you need a vehicle, whether you need whatever for the Pentagon, they get cushy contracts and they're using these profits. Look, we can get into, cost plus accounting. I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but essentially they're using some of the money that they probably should be using for maybe R&D or maybe just not trying to make as much profit. And they're buying back their stock. They're creating all these dividends for the holders. Trump said, I've had enough of this. The stock market tanked and it tanked hard. Defense industry was bleeding. It wasn't just Lockheed Martin. But 2 hours later, Trump came out, said this. After long, difficult negotiations, I have determined that especially in these very troubled, dangerous times, our military budget should not be $1 trillion, but $1.5 trillion. So yes, can the Pentagon not pass an audit? Correct. Are they wasting money left and right? Correct. Are we bogged down by quagmires historically? Correct. But what are we going to do? We're going to boost the budget 50%. This will allow us to build the dream military that we've been, such a bad word, entitled to. That sounds a little bit antithetical to their platform. So yeah, now we're entitled this. I want entitlements. And more importantly, it'll keep us safe and secure regardless of foe. If it weren't for the tremendous numbers being produced by tariffs, so he kind of, says my tariffs are so great, I would stay at 1 trillion. But hey, because of the tariffs, because of my idea and the tremendous income and the amounts being generated, that would have been unthinkable. But now we're able to easily hit 1.5 trillion. Stock market, well, you can see the decline, pretty immediate kind of. Look at the stock market on the way up. Very, very happy. So if you're a defense contractor, you love this news. But he didn't stop there. He also went after the housing market. He's banning single-family home purchases by institutional investors. Blackstone, often confused with BlackRock, they do have some of the same capital investors. Within minutes, Blackstone stock erased as much as $17 billion today. They do have a couple takes I want to share here. I think it's down here. So this will have less of an effect on home prices than most expect. Why? It's only 3% of demand. So if you really, they don't own that many homes. I'm sure there's some townships, some neighborhoods, they like come in and buy the whole neighborhood. But nationwide, it's not that much. So if you remove 3% of demand, it won't change much because demand isn't the issue. Sales demand is at 40-year low. So if you remove all investor purchases, individuals, so if you remove like everything like Airbnb, et cetera, it's still 70% of current demand just coming from individuals. We're dealing with low levels of demand. The issue, supply. Supply's down sharply. They just give you the real reason. It's a product of rates. Average homeowner rate, 4.2, but now it's 6.2. And so the gap has never been larger, creating a disincentive to sell your house. So why sell your home if you're going to lose that 3% mortgage? So really not going to affect as much. I think a lot of people are seeing this news and just assuming, finally, Gen Z can afford homes. It's not going to affect it too much.
Yeah, I'm kind of in this battle right now. I think you were with me. Like when I moved to Georgia, I was battling this price gouging war of cash offers, and having to be
40%. Me too.
40%.
I was like Q1 22, I think.
Right.
Yeah, Q1 22. It was very difficult.
Yeah. And me and you both, like, we got our houses and now I'm looking to move, but I'm really lamenting letting go of this insanely low mortgage rate that I have right now.
Yep.
So it's a tough call for me. I definitely feel like right now, 40% of houses don't even have mortgages. It's a lot of boomers sitting on paid off houses.
Yeah. And they got the house for 2 blueberries.
Right. And now it's worth, a blueberry factory. This is, it's a thing that if we see mortgages hit 10%, you're going to see the housing market basically completely seize up. Right now we're seeing signs that it's on its way. I just kind of doubt that the US housing authority is going to watch $40 trillion in value walk out the door. Because in general, single family is about $120 trillion of value in the US. If you see a price reduction and a slowdown in sales, then you're going to run into a major, major haircut. And I don't think that they're going to allow that to happen. That's my personal take of it. But
there you go. All right, let's talk about the Senate bill. We got some new data for the Senate bill. This is what's in the way of the crypto market research bill that is trying to go through the Senate. We're trying to get this Clarity Act we covered yesterday. Tim Scott, that's him right there. Love his haircut. I love his attire. Anyways, Tim Scott, he's saying Thursday, not today, next week. Tim Scott says Thursday this is going to happen. But what's the holdup? Well, we kind of talked about it. We're going to name a name at least. Republicans have agreed to dozens of the Democrat requests in the months-long debate over the form of this U.S. bill that will establish regulations from crypto markets. And we say months long. The House passed it in July, August, September, October, November, December. We're in January. So for half a year, we've been trying to reconcile this bill, and the Democrats have basically stalled this for 6 months. I'm not saying it's a good thing, a bad thing. I'm just saying they're kind of fighting for some things, and they've been able to pause this for 6 months. And the debate's over the form of the bill that will establish regulations for crypto markets. But some of the biggest items remain unresolved. And now we're getting to a matter of days before the consequential Senate vote. Now we're down to less than a week, right? So what is holding it up? Well, it looks like there's about half a dozen items that remain unresolved. First and foremost, and I've been kind of following this pretty heavily, this does seem to be the sticking point for Democrats. It's the ethics language. It is banning senior government officials from pulling personal profits from crypto activity. The Republican compromise, Drew, is, well, we just want to push it back until Trump's leaving office. I think it's about a 3-year pause. So, if you wait 3 years, Trump doesn't have to worry. Democrats are saying that is a line in the sand. We will not agree to that. Presumably, ostensibly, to go after Trump for him and his wife's meme coin and probably World Liberty Fi.
Yeah.
And USD1. And,
Man, this is, it's getting like, if they put these parameters that you can't pull profits from crypto in general as a government official, what the hell are we doing on the Wall Street sector, right? I mean, they're just printed money on the Wall Street sector with inside calls. They get to put their puts and their options in. then go make the legislation to decide
look at the
that's
land around proposed monorail or high-speed rails in California. You know, they can profit off stocks, they could profit off real estate, but they can't buy Bitcoin. And I don't even hate not being able to launch a meme coin, but I do think they are, you know, they're basically fighting to get Trump into that language. Number two, oversight for DeFi that's on par with federally regulated financial firms. This is Democrats wanting you to require the same identification and, let's say, rigorous, let's just say, activities to open an account at a bank. So opening a bank account should be the same as trading on Uniswap. I think that's kind of a little bit much, but they want the Uniswap. They want these to have front-end landing portals where we have to identify yourself. So they're going to want basically Uniswap, Aerodrome, Pancake Swap. They're going to say, well, I need a picture of your ID. You need to have the same rules as Coinbase or your local bank up the corner.
Yeah.
So that's probably a little bit much. I think you would agree. I think that's a non-starter. Yield. It does seem like the banking industry, they have their talons in some of these Democrats. I guess it's fair to say. They said this is what banks say. It could strangle their deposit core part of their business and it would threaten the whole business model of U.S. banks. So if we allow a crypto company to give yield, it's going to put us out of business. And some Democrats have been moved by that argument and want to limit crypto yield. So this isn't every Democrat, but it does seem some are willing to go to bat for the banking industry. I think it's pretty clear how we feel about that. And then it's going to be CFTC appointments, SEC appointments. So also some of the appointments. Now, there's no mystery about the crypto sentiment from the banking committee's ranking Democrat, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and some of her close allies who contend digital assets are dangerous. You're a danger to society, and they're a danger to consumers and a boon to criminals. And maybe you're a criminal for holding Bitcoin. Several Democrats, just to say, be clear, they have stood apart from this view and engaged in the lengthy negotiation. So we don't want to put a blanket stroke on all Democrats with the holdup on this bill. But it does seem like, Drew, that Elizabeth Warren, maybe a handful of others, they're making some, I would say, just outrageous requirements.
I mean, by these standards, we should ban daycares too, right? I mean, this is... And, you know, what are we talking about here? You're saying that crime exists and people can get in without being identified and there's potential for crime out there. I mean, look what's happening in the US right now. I hate everything about that. This is like some of the struggle that I have internally about being adopted by the institutional setup as it is right now. Because crypto and Bitcoin represented freedom to me when I needed it the most 5-6 years ago, you know, so this is rough to see, but we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren, I think she needs to maybe just get out of the way or stop fighting for the bank so hard. It's like so weird and just it's creepy. It's creepy at this point, and I think you can only assume the worst. Now, let's look at ETH. ETH, I just want to shout this out. Broke a new all-time high for the throughput, 61 times faster. I mean, don't even listen to this, but there's nothing that comes close to the speed of ETH. So congrats, 60,000 transactions per second. Nothing to scoff at there. Now let me DZ the ADA community. ADA community, the Cardano community gets a little too excited sometimes. They see some news, they run with it. And Drew, you know the meme about the medal winner and they're like popping the champagne and you zoom out, they're in third place.
Oh, yeah.
Or it means they're like in 50th place.
Absolutely.
That's what happened. That's what happened to Cardano. They fell for it, man. Justin, Grayscale highlights their smart contract fund. Cardano's the third largest holding at 18.55%. This is the news. Grayscale, they updated a few of their indexes here. Grayscale DeFi fund, different DeFi fund, Grayscale smart contract fund, the decentralized AI fund. So they rebalanced the percentage of these coins. Now Cardano community, woo! They're popping champagne. They're celebrating. They're renting a pontoon boat, not a yacht, but they're renting a boat for a celebration here. And look, Cardano, now 18.5%. It's 18%. Let's celebrate. Wait a minute. This is from April of this year. It was 22%. It went down. It went down. If you look up smart contract fund, it is ADA account after ADA account celebrating this news. It's bad news. ADA community, do better. You're looking like smooth brain, short bus riding, helmet wearing, needs a leash in public buffoons. I want to say the R word. I'm not going to go that far, but they're looking like buffoons out there, Drew.
I gotta love, you gotta give a like for the honesty and our ability to fud our own bags too. I mean, this is, I think we're one of the rare channels that can show aggravation with things if they go wrong, and I think the honesty matters a lot. Cardano is the truest altcoin of all altcoins, though, man. Like, if we see the psyop of 26 not being as bad as everyone expects, and altcoins start to rip, Cardano's gonna win, right? It's gonna win. It's just a matter of time. And Cardano is very sleepy until the overexcitement hits the market, and then it goes ballistic, right? So it only pays the psychos that are willing to hold it, which I would call you a psycho willing to hold it. Absolutely.
There is some other news. Oh, no, I got rid of it. Yeah, I deleted it. They got rid of Polkadot, Drew, and they added HBAR.
Okay.
Barbarians. Type in HBAR if you're a HBAR holder. I'm curious, like, what is our percentage of HBAR holders? I sold my Barbarian bag back 24. I haven't looked back. I've been buying some other coins, when I do DCA. Are you still a Barbarian, Drew?
Well, I traded HBAR really effectively in 2024, and then my wife actually held on to that bag that was bought low and I think she added to it a little bit. Not exactly quite sure what she did, but I know that it made me a lot of money in 2024. And HBAR is in that ISO narrative. And if we see that ISO narrative have its season again, HBAR is going to outperform XRP. I think Stellar and HBAR can outperform XRP if we see another impulse of that kind of ISO narrative. They're much smaller market caps, much easier holders to move up the hill, essentially.
God, HBAR was almost $15 billion market cap.
Oh, yeah.
And then it dipped below 5.
Yep. It moved hard, man. It was a big mover back then. So
yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. All right, let's talk about Zcash. Full disclosure, I took some profit on Zcash. We're still in the green. We jumped in so early. I told you guys to jump in super early. Did not sell for cash. Drew, I kind of front ran this. I converted some into Solana, converted some into Bitcoin, and I kept about half of my remaining bag just in case, this makes the team go into wolf mode. Well, let's cover the news first, and then I want to see what you think here. Zcash devs have resigned, may form a new company. Entire Zcash team at Electric Coin Company resigned last night following a board dispute, now considering forming a new company, leaving the roadmap uncertain. Entire Zcash core dev team has resigned. Zcash in a free fall now. It's over. It's over. Zcash developers, after 500xing their net worth in just 5 months. Goodbye. Wow, that's actually a good, you got it in 13 minutes. That's a good screenshot. Let's cover the news here. So developer team behind Electric Coin Company quits after a governance clash with the entity kind of in charge of the direction of the Zcash coin. So the entire team at ECC, they're the development team. They resigned due to this dispute with the nonprofit Bootstrap. Like a lot of crypto companies have nonprofits behind them. This is the nonprofit behind Zcash. The CEO of ECC claimed the team, they were forced to leave because of changes that made their work untenable. Bootstrap says, it was governance and legal issues that were trying to make these changes, emphasizing we're just trying to comply with nonprofit law. The CEO wrote that the majority of the board members have moved into clear misalignment of what he described as Zcash's mission. The team is now forming a new company, but they're not going to do a new coin. They're remaining committed to Zcash. So that is the good news. That's why maybe the FUD is a little bit overblown. Building unstoppable private money. He stressed that the protocol itself unaffected by the personnel shakeup. And Bootstrap, they're a 501c3. That's a nonprofit. And they were created to support Zcash and provide governance oversight. So the FUD out there is team quit. Everyone said goodbye. Everyone's rug pulling. The truth is the team, they're just going to not work for the previous board. They're not going to work for them. They're going to work for themselves. And they're probably going to do the same thing that they're already doing. I haven't looked into Bootstrap if they pay ECC some sort of money and maybe that money's going to disappear. That will definitely influence how many hours a week these devs are going to work on it. So if you're getting paid in Zcash to develop on Zcash, you're going to work harder versus if you're not paid in Zcash to develop on Zcash.
I want to see privacy coins continue to try to become a mainstream option too. So even though, Zcash has its own things that really kind of, I never wanted to chase the top. It was funny, like the chat was trying to talk me into it when we were at like $700 or whatever. And it's just, it's something I never want to top blast anything, but I want to see privacy coins have a plate at the table of the future of finance. So I want Monero to win. I want Zcash. I want whatever this development team turns into to succeed. And I want Midnight to win. How is Midnight doing as well? Is Midnight still doing
was
all right?
down, I want to say 8. Are we at 8? Where are we at? Down another 5%, maybe 7. Yeah, 7.5. So
Yeah.
it got up to 10 cents. And essentially, I mean, there's some exchanges that had a like crazy listing, but this was, 5 cents. This is 5 cents. So wick down even lower. It was wick down to 2 cents. So you could have got out at, 12 cents. So pretty good move right there.
Yeah. And I mean, that follows my baseline. Like if you get in and you had the option to buy at 4 cents and you hit 12 cents, 3 or 4x, take your money off the table, leave a moon bag to work for you in the background. It's just, that's how you protect your profits and are more comfortable with the volatility, because crypto's volatile. There's no denying that.
Speaking of profits, look at this Polymarket guy. A lot of profits. What kind of profits are we talking about? $3 over and over and over and over again, 80,000 times. He's now made $270,000 on Polymarket. He farms the 15-minute market candles, clipping $3 systematically. He's now repeated this 80,000 times, just the same loop over and over and over again for $3,000 in profit. So interesting strategy. 80,000 trades, but $250,000's a $250,000, folks. So good to them. Still a lot of money in Polymarket. Brought that up. There is a deal here. Polymarket Dow Jones deals put prediction markets data in the Wall Street Journal. So Wall Street Journal is realizing like, oh my God, we actually thought we had the alpha with our secret society and our little closed system. And we got our Bloomberg terminals that cost 6 figures. And it's like Polymarket beating your Bloomberg terminal. They're like, all right, we'll bring you into the fold. So even more good news for Polymarket, more good news for Polygon. Drew, what do you think about this? Wall Street now is going to say they see like a subliminal advertisement for Polygon every single day.
That's true. Very true. Even by like the Crown Prince brought it up. Polygon at 13 cents is shocking to me, because I remember Polygon held above $1 even during the bear market.
I probably should have got Polygon instead of Solana.
This is kind of interesting to see. I mean, Polygon, you just highlighted something very important. It's like, it's been all over the news, all over mainstream media. It was at the Jake Paul fight, the winner, Joshua, whatever his name is, had a huge Polygon necklace on. It's been kind of sneaky style instituted into culture. And I wonder if Polygon might actually begin to start gaining some steam once again. That's kind of a chaotic theory, but you can't deny the cultural acceptance of it.
Yeah. Speaking of chaos, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong woke up today, chose chaos and violence. He did that by being, is this shady or not, chat? Shady, yes or no, why or in? Brian Armstrong did this post. Buying Coinbase through Coinbase feels good. Kind of advertising their stock market trade. At least that's what people tell me. I sadly cannot. I use this plan, but I imagine it feels great. Got noted, despite his claims. Brian Armstrong's actually never purchased coin. History shows 0 buying events, 88 selling events. This man has 88 sales, 0 buys. Is this shady? Yes or no? Is it shady for the CEO to say, well, man, buying it just feels so good? He's never bought, though. Drew, shady, yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a great look.
I say yes. I say
it's not a great look at all. And
I know he put the he put the little asterisk at the bottom, basically. At least that's what people tell. I cannot. I use this plan. 88, you can use that plan to buy.
Yeah, 88 selling events too, highlighted by that community note, is not a good look right there. So probably should have just said nothing. I would have just said nothing.
You know what I'm doing in response, Drew? I'm growing my hair out.
Bald is beautiful.
I don't want to be anything like Brian. No, I don't want to be anything like that punk.
Oh my God.
Like that shady, lying punk. He's basically Bernie Madoff. No, he's not that bad. But hey, I appreciate the gifted there. Malik Matthew coming in. He'll take you down the mat. Thank you there. I appreciate that. Let's see, dude. If you believe anybody that high in bed with politicians, you are a fool. I guess I'm talking about that guy. Some are saying, the counter to it, Drew, just to play the both sides. They're like, well, his buying was the 8 years of hard work he spent building his company.
Well,
I say, I'll get that shit out of here. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the Christmas photo? Like him standing in front of that Christmas tree that they had. I mean, the Christmas tree he had looked like it was $10,000-$20,000. So I think he's doing just fine in terms of money. But the 88 sales being highlighted by the community note is not a good look, right? That's just something that. Oh my gosh, do you have the photo here? Did you see this photo?
Let's show chat.
Oh my God, he's dripping in opulence right now. in synthetic opulence, right?
The dog's outfit costs more than your used car.
It's just like, okay, we know you won. Okay, we know you're winning right there. DZ, if you do grow out your hair, you need a rat tail or a mullet, right? I think the chat is right. If you leave your bald, beautiful head behind, you got to have something back there to whip around there.
This is like a risky scroll, y'all. We might get in trouble here.
Yeah.
The dog one. Oh man, don't mess with that. Brian needs our help. See, they're doing her head, but not doing her spine. See, if you go from the waist to the shoulders, she's leaning towards them. You go from the shoulders to the top of the crown of the head. Yeah, it's the other way. Why is my owner bald? All right. See, now I feel viciously attacked and I don't want to scroll anymore. I'm going to go into the bathroom and scream. But I got one last story to share with you folks. Drew, Solana Mobile, they're going to launch their Seeker token. They got the date finally, January 21st. Let's just cut to the chase for the Disco fam. Are you buying? Are you selling? If you get airdropped, would you sell? Would you hodl? So on the sidelines, do you buy? If you get airdropped, do you buy more, hodl, or sell?
I'm selling it immediately.
Okay, so you definitely wouldn't buy any then.
Well, I would wait for about 2 to 3 weeks to see price action play out, to see if it's, because when I see things come out, they usually have that initial hard drop. And then
yeah.
I like to take that first few weeks of
price data in. Like Knight did. Let's just kind of look. It might be difficult finding an exchange. Was it on Binance out the gate? I know the perpetuals were. See, now we got perpetuals on here, and that's also going to screw up the data. What the hell am I doing Fibonacci's for? When did I do these Fibonacci's? I do the Fibonacci 0. I did the second day. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, there's the dip we're talking about. You get a dip, and then you want to jump in. You don't want to jump in hour one, first 10-minute, 30-second candle. That never works out. But typically, you're going to have the people that are going to take their profits, and then that's when you want to accumulate, folks.
Right. Absolutely.
Oh, that actually played out. What the hell?
It's just my general plan for when we see token releases. Expect it to dump first, and then if you're one of the people that receive the airdrop, don't be a romantic about it. Take the money off the table. The wise thing to do is, if you're wrong and it just takes up and off to the right, leave a moon bag behind, but always lock in your profits and protect yourself first, and then let the good things happen afterwards if there's good to be had on the project. It's just a kind of a game plan I always have.
All right, well, folks, that is all we have for today. We're going to end with the Brian Armstrong. It's actually a tragic story. Maybe we shouldn't even show that picture anymore. Too soon. That one might be too soon. But, folks, that's our show for today. Smash the like button on the way out. Really help us. We did bring up Minnesota. We did bring up President Trump. We brought up Democrats. So we brought up some hot button issues that they may not typically like. So we do appreciate your support. If you're on X, if you hit that repost, if you're on YouTube, just leave a comment, maybe hit a like. Make sure you're subscribed. And Drew, I heard you had. Can you give us a sneak peek for what you're going to drop Friday night?
Oh God, yeah. Friday night is a talk about what's been talked about as the Monroe Doctrine, and the framework and the verbiage that you were highlighting on the show today. We're entitled to it, and we keep seeing this hemisphere narrative brought up again, and the Venezuela Bitcoin stash. It dives into all of this in what my very blunt and brazen view of what's happening right now on a macroeconomic scale actually means. So it's a lot of information consolidated down, but I've spent the last 20 years focusing on this subject matter. We're here. We're knocking on the door for it. and I'm excited for the video. So
here's my ranking of the Venezuela situation. One, we got to posture in front of China. We got to control that Western Hemisphere, exert our influence. That's the number one reason. Number two reason, rare earth minerals. I put that above oil, which I will put at number 3, and cocaine. That's like all the way down to the bottom. It's like number 50. It has nothing to do with that or fentanyl.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't higher on the list of priorities there. That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Hey, Coca-Cola, go back to your original recipe. I'll be a drinker. All right, folks, that's all we got for today. Hit the like button on the way out. We do appreciate it. Adios.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.